Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 229. Oh yeah, my brothers and sisters, this was perhaps one of the most crazy and heated chapters in this fight so far. You know, the fraud allegations were a joke for a while now, just little jabs at Sakuna fans, but now it's obvious, just oh so obvious that it almost doesn't even feel real. Maharaga just saved Sakuna today, and I fear this oh so nuanced little intervention just put a stain on how some of us, maybe even a lot of us, view Sakuna in this battle. It is actually very unfortunate to see Sakuna convicted as a fraud and to have his GOAT status temporarily suspended, and he's still under trial until his real curse technique can actually do something to Gojo without a sure hit. However, for real, this chapter was a much needed reality check for how strong Gojo is, how well Gojo is doing this fight, and how he compares to his counterpart Sakuna. I will certainly go over how I feel about the chapter conclusion in my thoughts section later on in the video, but let's break down this awesome chapter because there is a lot to consider. Last chapter actually gave quite a scare for when Gojo's nose started to bleed, but no, it was not poison. It probably wasn't anything to do with the wheel. However, we understand Gojo has been constantly spamming domain expansion, reverse curse technique reversal, curse techniques in general, and overhauling his 6 eyes and using them for curse technique / curse energy replenishment. So basically, it's not really a surprise if he's frying his brain. Both Yuta and Ino mentioned Gojo is doing a very overwhelming process right now after consecutive domain expansions, and he may be hinted to wear himself down. Today, Gojo shrugs it off like nothing, but we know it's coming back later. But starting this chapter off, Gojo and Sakuna enter a 4th freaking domain clash. 4 is crazy, and there's another one after this, making 5 domain expansions in this fight alone. Of course, what we already assumed, Angel mentioned Sakuna can heal his burnt out curse technique. Some very key information here is that their domain expansions were simultaneous or expanded at the same time in this 4th round. And Kusakabe mentions during those 3 minutes, Sakuna will destroy Gojo's barrier from the outside, and Gojo will have to deal damage inside so that Sakuna cannot maintain his domain. So 3 minutes is the time in which Gojo has condensed his own domain expansion, in which Gojo literally has to beat down Sakuna before his time is up. I like that Shoko mentions not to say it like it's unfavorable for Gojo, because if Sakuna experiences unlimited void for several seconds, he will be incapacitated. So if Gojo can collapse Malevolent Shrine in those 3 minutes, he will win. So wow, it's almost like Unlimited Void was actually a superior curse technique like Gojo said it would be, and it would actually incapacitate Sakuna. So that whole argument that Sakuna would tank Unlimited Void just because Gojo can tank Malevolent Shrine was actually a bunch of rubbish. You actually gotta love to see it. But then Gojo begins his assault on Sakuna, just absolute greatness, hand-to-hand domination. Sakuna is of course holding his own, but the sheer unrelenting pressure Gojo is putting up is crazy. You can tell Gojo wants him to fold because he knows when only Unlimited Void remains, it's up. And notice, after the hand-to-hand exchange in the 4th round, they traded again, the same way that they traded the 3rd round. Sakuna broke the domain from the outside, and Gojo beat Sakuna on the inside. Gojo either used his technique or blatantly ripped his face off, and apparently that's enough damage to collapse Sakuna's domain expansion. Even his students are all in agreement that Gojo Sensei is stronger in the domain. He can win. And just like before, we see both of them use reverse curse technique extremely fast to heal their own burnt out curse technique. Their exchange couldn't have been but mere moments, yet then they enter a freaking 5th domain expansion battle. 3 was crazy, 4 was crazier, 5 is freaking insane. And this time, Gojo takes the lead. It is explained Sakuna was too slow this time. Yuta and company were the first to notice Gojo's domain was a little faster than Sakuna's. And Gojo confirms that because Sakuna had to take time to heal his actual body with reverse curse, he was slower in using reverse curse technique to recover his own burnt out technique, and it was already too late by the time his shrine was already up. It wasn't even 0.01 seconds, yet Sakuna was hit by Unlimited Void. He actually took the hit. Sakuna flinches, and in that moment, Gojo gives Sakuna a mean punch in the same area around his chest. And finally, after 2 minutes and 40 seconds after the final domain, Sakuna loses the domain expansion clash as his Malevolent Shrine crumbles. Sakuna then takes on the full brunt of unlimited void and straight up turns into a vegetative state. What a sight to see. Gojo was actually right about his superior curse technique, and I don't think Sakuna took this hit on purpose either, because he was too slow in recovering his body's regeneration and replenishing his own curse technique, so then he was put in a tough spot and he lost. This doesn't last forever though. Gojo turns up at this chance and goes feral. He says he's gonna crush his heart, his lungs, his liver to bring him closer to death than Sakuna ever was with Yuji, even at the detention center, so he cannot recover. That's actually pretty smart because of course we don't want to actually kill Megumi, but effectively incapacitating the body will give time to get Megumi back somehow. However, Sakuna has other plans, and the incantation of the Dharma Chakra wheel is somehow completed. The wheel clicks, and the 8-handled sword, Divergent Scylla, Divine General Maharaga emerges. And what's this? Where's Sakuna? He ran. He's gone. He's out of there. And I'll get back to that in a second. But of course, Gojo is confused. He got hoed bad because that dub was ripped straight out of his hands. He immediately tries to one-shot Maharaga using curse technique reversal. And that's actually cool that Gojo can use his limitless extension techniques, and it probably applies to a sure hit in a domain. However, Maharaga shut all that down. This is exactly like Yorozu's domain all over again, because this freaking monster instantly adapted to unlimited void and broke Gojo's domain before he can even finish his sentence. So Maharaga gives the meanest grin at the end of the chapter, and we end off with a break next week. Oh man, I know one thing. Maharaga definitely got that dog in him, because this monster wants smoke with any living thing that breathes, and this adaptation has to be a freaking problem. This fight was raw, it was awesome, and this chapter was really freaking cool, one of the best by far. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with what Sakuna did in summoning Maharaga, definitely the smartest play. Of course, Sakuna's whole strategy from dang near the beginning of the series was to harness Megumi and of course use 10 Shadows, and the closer we got to this fight, the more hints that we got. I think it's really the manner in which Sakuna had to save himself that causes a lot of controversy, obviously. If not for Maharaga, Sakuna would more than likely have been finished or incapacitated by Gojo. So in that sense, he needs the 10 Shadows to survive Unlimited Void, and he probably would need it to defeat the Limitless and kill Gojo. Gojo would not survive this long at all without the 6 Eyes, but that's just it. The 6 Eyes is his gift, Gojo's blessing. The same with Megumi, the 10 Shadows is his blessing, but Sakuna abuses it and he needed it. It's not the first time a sorcerer stole a technique to survive. Think of Yuta and Kenjaku's situation, but it's the overall delivery, and that intervention is a tad bit obvious, just a tad. It's enough that folks like my boy Kyle Breeze hopping on that FRAUDKUNA agenda, which until further notice, until Shrine actually does something to Gojo, just gotta deal with it, because he needed 10 Shadows to survive. So this current Gojo would be stronger than even a prime 20-finger Sakuna, and that's if, and only if, 10 Shadows is being used as a crutch, which seems to be the case because we have yet to see if Sakuna's bag is enough for Gojo without 10 Shadows or Maharaga. So for this 2-week break, that is the hand that we are dealt. And I know the hope that full form Sakuna is better and stronger. He has yet to reveal his actual curse technique, but Sakuna now has 20 fingers worth of power. He apparently can already change his form, yet this appearance right now is more fit for fighting amongst sorcerers. That's what Sakuna said himself. So we have to see if that even makes a difference, because I'll let you guys in on a little secret, I don't think it does. Though it is better that 10 Shadows is used now than it is after the fact, after Shrine was revealed. So now we can actually see if Shrine actually does something to Gojo without a domain. It seems at the end of the chapter, Sakuna either left someplace or slipped into his shadow. My own assumption that Sakuna could use the Dharma Chakra wheel to adapt his shrine techniques is definitely wrong, because just like Yorozu's situation, the wheel serves to analyze attacks, and the Shikigami Maharaga is the one that delivers the effective hits and the attacks. That's really clever on Sakuna's part to hide the wheel all this time, hide Maharaga so it can't get one shot, and now that Maharaga is out, he will deliver judgment now that it's adapted. It's already adapted to Unlimited Void, and Gege's author note said Unlimited Void is less effective on cursed spirits than on humans because their brains are different. So since it basically adapted to Unlimited Void in an instant, don't at all be surprised if this thing starts adapting to Infinity or Red, Blue, even Hollow Purple, because we first need to see if it adapted to Limitless itself or the specific aspects of Limitless, the push, pull, and whatnot. If it adapted to all of Limitless, that is tough. It won't make Maharaga completely immune, but he effectively will not die to it. I think Gojo will definitely deal with it, but he has to do it fast because Maharaga will very quickly start to gain resistance and land effective hits. I always thought Maharaga was just Gojo fodder, but I really wouldn't play with anything that can casually break the domain of the strongest. Maharaga is a problem. It's even scarier knowing that it's hinted as a direct counter to Limitless according to Gojo's conversation with Megami. Let me know what you guys think though in the comments. Gojo will likely perform a maximum technique if Maharaga already adapted to Hollow Purple, Red, Infinity, or Blue, etc. Since true maximum techniques are a bit more different than extension techniques, but we will see. Again, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on the subject below. This has been Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you awesome guys in the next one. Bye-bye.